Welcome to our webinar on exploring nature-based solutions carbon offset projects in Vietnam, organized jointly by Fairatmos and the ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market, AACM. It's a privilege of ours to have you all with us today as we delve into crucial discussions surrounding carbon projects initiative and nature-based solutions, focusing on the dynamic landscape of Vietnam. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to His Excellency Denny Abdhi, the Indonesian Ambassador for Vietnam, Mr. Dharsono Hartono, Chair of AACM, Mr. Tran Chung, Chairman of Citigroup Vietnam, and Mrs. Natalia Rialuki, CEO and founder of Fairatmos. Thank you for joining us today and taking the time to participate in these webinar sessions. Also, I would like to give a warm welcome to our esteemed guests, as more than 100 participants have registered from Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, India, Australia, Europe, UAE, and beyond. In response to the urgent need for effective climate actions, we are driven to harness the potential of Southeast Asia's abundant natural resources for mitigating the impacts of climate change. We proudly acknowledge Vietnam's pivotal role in this endeavor, with its vast forest resources holding significant potentials for carbon sequestration. Thus, we are organizing this webinar, aiming where the next 90 minutes we will delve into strategies that leverage forest ecosystem services to mitigate and adapt to climate change challenge. Each speakers will have 10 minutes to share their thoughts, followed by questions from moderator. We also welcome the audience to share their questions in any time through the chat box. And at the end of the sessions, we will share a feedback form. We also have prepared 3 raffle prizes to those who have submitted a feedback form. To open the webinar, without further ado, I invite His Excellency Denny Abdhi to grace us with his opening remarks. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to His Excellency Denny Abdhi, the Indonesian Ambassador for Vietnam.
Okay, thank you, Sasha, for the introduction. First of all, let me recognize Mr. Pak Dharsono Hartono, the Chair of ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market, Mr. Chung, my good friend, the Chairman of Citigroup of Vietnam, and Ms. Natalia Rialuki, the founder and CEO of Fairatmos, and of course, dear all participants, good morning from Hanoi. These past few years, global phenomena of climate change have occurred more frequently. Average global temperature have continued to reach record high. In some Asian countries, including Vietnam, the highest temperature ever recorded occurred in 2023. This was recorded in Nghệ An province, reaching 44.2 degrees Celsius in May last year. Weather and climate have also been largely unpredictable, with temperatures falling and rising sharply week by week and days in winter season, feeling like summer. As climate change are already among us, mitigation and adaptation are key to manage and limit the impacts of climate change. For developing economies with rapid growth, such as Indonesia and Vietnam, our growth are often questioned for its sustainability and impacts to climate change, especially when both countries have set high targets of becoming high-income country by 2045, which requires an acceleration of economic growth. As developing economies with a limited access to investment and technology, there are always challenges to ensure each growth are sustainable. And there is always a temptation to only prioritize growth by exploiting natural resources and setting aside sustainability in the process. Yet Indonesia and Vietnam are committed not to only grow, but to grow sustainably and responsibly. We have committed to our net zero emission targets to be achieved by 2050 and 2060, respectively. We are also part of the Just Energy Transition Partnership, or JETP, a scheme to support developing economies' transition to new and renewable energy. Policymakers, researchers, businesses, and international organizations have proposed various solutions. Nature-based solution is one solution within many different solutions to reduce climate risk to people, biodiversity, and the ecosystem. With a good concept and design, nature-based solutions can be a sustainable approach, especially for developing economies with limited resources, as nature-based solutions focus on utilizing cost-effective and natural intervention to protect the ecosystem. There is a large potential for Indonesia and Vietnam to explore nature-based solutions due to its biodiversity, including through the development of carbon offset projects. Indonesia's forest covers more than 50% of its land area, while Vietnam forests cover 42% of its land. Carbon offsetting can be a good approach to ensure that industrial activities and the protection of environment can go hand in hand. With a sound concept and a strong management, economic growth and sustainability will not collide with each other. Instead, it will complement each other. For instance, the ESG, environmental, social, and governance framework has increasingly become a key factor for foreign investment. Projects that consider ESG and sustainability in the process will attract more quality investment. And with more quality investment, project will have more resources to ensure sustainability, and the cycle goes on. Last January, the President of Indonesia paid a state visit to Vietnam and met with Vietnamese leaders. During the high-level business dialogue co-chaired with the Prime Minister of Vietnam, both leaders committed to cooperate and collaborate in promoting sustainable economic growth. Several CEOs from Indonesia and Vietnam also took part in the meeting, including the panelists today, Mr. Chan Kim-chung, Chairman of Citigroup of Vietnam, and Ms. Natalia Rialuki, Founder and CEO of Fairatmos. I'm pleased that this webinar today is convened to further our effort promoting sustainable economic growth collaborations and to spread as well as to inspire more people toward this objective. I believe that this online discussion today will become a good platform to encourage policymakers, businesses, researchers, academics, and activists to collaborate and to discuss various approaches to address the impact of climate change. To conclude my remarks, I wish to offer my appreciation to Fairatmos for inviting me to deliver a short opening remarks, and also my congratulations for assembling such distinguished panelists and hosting this event. I thank you from Hanoi. Thank you.
Thank you for your insightful opening remarks, Your Excellency. Without further delay, I invite you to join me in extending a warm welcome to Ms. Alia, our moderator for these sessions. Ms. Alia, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Sasa, for the introduction. Hi, everyone, and good morning. My name is Alia. Welcome to the highly anticipated panel session of the Evolving and Dynamics of Carbon Market in Southeast Asia. We gather here today to delve into the intricate layers of growing sectors which hold immense promises for both environmental sustainability and economic prosperity. Before we start today's webinar, we must understand that the carbon market in Southeast Asia stand as a pivotal point marked by both historical precedent and current status quo. Despite prior accomplishment with carbon projects under frameworks like Clean Development Mechanism or CDM and voluntary markets, the region is now embarking on a journey to develop its policies, infrastructure, and safeguard necessary for the establishment of a robust carbon market. So Southeast Asia, boasting a formidable in 3.6 trillion economy with a robust growth rate of 4% emerges as a beacon of opportunity in demonstrating the transformative potential of carbon neutral economy. And nature-based solution, or for short NbS, emerged as the particular compelling avenue. Southeast Asia is poised to contribute over 30% of world's carbon offset from NbS alone, with 231,000 plus hectares of total forest area, emphasize the remarkable potential inherent within the region. So the development of NbS project not only aligns with the imperative of climate action, but also hold the promises of generating a significant community benefit. Apologies. To better understand the development on NbS project, I would like to introduce to you our first speaker. He is the chairman of ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market, or AACM, and founder of CEO of PT Rimba Makmur Utama, the world's largest peak carbon offset project. Recognized as sustainable pioneer by World Economic Forum, social entrepreneur of the year by Sword Foundation, and recipient of the YPO Global Impact Award. So without further ado, please welcome our first speaker today, Mr. Dharsono, to talk about AACM and the potential of market dynamic in Asia. So to Mr. Dharsono, the time is yours.
Thank you, Alia. Good morning, everyone. I just want to acknowledge Your Excellency, Ambassador Denny Abdhi. I think good to see you online, Pak. Also, CP Group Chair, Mr. Tran Chung. It's been an honor to be invited in this excellent event. Thanks, Fairatmos, for having me. I'll share my slide. Basically, last year during Indonesian chairmanship of ASEAN, we realized the potential of the carbon market in the region. So we launched an ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market during our presidency last year. The idea of AACM is we see that the reality today, the market is so fragmented, especially in the voluntary carbon market. We actually want to create an alliance that promotes scaling this voluntary carbon market across ASEAN and to support the implementation of a compliance market in the region. We feel that carbon market has become recognized as fundamental climate change tool to accelerate green transition, and this goal of approaching $1 trillion as soon as 2037. Not only that, ASEAN region has some of the world's most valuable investable carbon stocks. As Alia mentioned earlier, ASEAN can contribute up to 30% of the world carbon credit from the nature-based solution. And I think that it's also important to see that this market can go hand in hand with the growth and decarbonization strategy of the region. So like I mentioned, under the Indonesian chairmanship, we launched this ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market. And this is the first private sector-led body. And we hope that with this alliance, we can actually create the right framework. We can actually work together in the region, helping one country that may be still a bit behind, whereas basically we can learn from each other. Next. I think since the inception, we have showcased at the key global event. There are a few events that I personally attended. I think not only that we get a lot of interest from the ASEAN members, but more importantly, we see that there's a lot of interest in the other country that supposedly become the buyers of this credit. So for example, Japan, Korea, even as far as the UK. So I think this is very important for us to really see this potential. And we are very excited to have more partnership with the other country outside ASEAN as well. Next. So just to give you an idea what AACM is all about, so like I mentioned to you, it's a private sector-led initiative. So we have a distinguished governing board that have all the ASEAN members, part of the ASEAN BAC. We have a steering committee that is chaired by Indonesian and through Kadin, which is our Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. We also work with our basically knowledge partner as part of our steering committee of Bloomberg NEF, as well as Sustainable Energy for All. And we also gathered to get international advisory board that are recognized as the world leaders or institution that also believing in voluntary carbon market and to create a robust carbon market. So we are working with ICPCM, IETA, WBCSD, and others. All of these are being supported by the Executive Secretariat that is also a part of the ASEAN Secretariat. Next. We have a few members. I think these are more multi-sectoral, and actually we invite more members, especially from Vietnam. I think if you are really interested to be in the carbon market, that not necessarily has to be nature-based, but everything that you think that is something that we can learn, please feel free. There's a QR code at the end of this presentation. We'll share it to you and you can actually apply to be a member. Next. So there are three lenses and activities that we try to focus in this coming year. First is, I think, looking at the supply and generation. Second is market infrastructure. And last is demand and assurance. I think we see that because not only that the market is so fragmented, there's a lot of inefficiency in this, and we try to make it better. So the key is to improve capacity and quantity of project developers. For a country like Indonesia, we have been quite successful in producing good carbon credit project. I think it will be important for us to share that lessons. In the meantime, we also need to reduce intermediation costs and friction because this market is still so new. There's a lot of inefficiency particularly on the carbon prices. So I think we need to create that market infrastructure. And finally, we want to encourage buyers to consider ASEAN as their region go-to for NbS and carbon market offset in particular. Next. So just giving you an idea, basically looking ahead, we plan to conduct 5 key activities to build from last year's momentum. First is, of course, the capacity building session. We see that it's very important. There are countries in ASEAN that is quite ahead in terms of the market infrastructure, but there are other countries that is still lagging behind. We do executive roundtable, so we convene leaders from members and policymakers to identify area to advance in this scaling the voluntary carbon market. We also work on putting a policy advocacy for the region. And we also do promotion and roadshow. So feel free. I think I will be attending few events in the next this calendar year. I'll be in New York. I might be attending APEC and maybe even G20 conference later on this year. So I think the idea is we want to also create a promotion and roadshow in addition to proper governance meeting that we have. So I'll share with you our next agenda where we plan to do where all the members of steering committee, international advisory board will meet on a regular basis, and we'll have an offline meeting once a year. Next. So this is just a broad idea of I'll be happy to share this information for some of you who are gonna be in certain event. We'll be happy to have you participate. We're gonna be in the next one will be in Singapore for the Ecosperity this coming April. We also will be in we'll be in London Climate Week. There will be a London Climate Week sometime as well. So feel free to reach to us if you are part of this event that you're attending. I'll be happy to meet up with you. I think that's probably the last slide. Let me see. I think with that, I mean, this is please register. You can try this basically QR. Contact me, and also I have a deputy Stephen, and actually Ms. Trialuki is also one of the deputy in AACM, and we welcome all input or welcome you to be part of the member. Thank you so much for your attention.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Dharsono, for the presentation. So maybe I'm also going to share your profile here so everyone can see as well. I hope I hope it's clear that you are the CEO of PT Rimba Makmur Utama, which is before we get into the AACM part, I really want to get into, because I know like a lot of audience here are also interested in you becoming a successful carbon project creator in a way. So everyone, for those who are not aware, the Katingan Mataya project spans over 149 plus hectares of peatland, 1,000 hectares of peatland forest in central Kalimantan, Indonesia. And it's a vital peatland habitat for 5 critically endangered and endangered species. And then that also help over 400 local people who 400 local people and community protected the forest from seasonal fires. So it's a very amazing achievement. Congratulations, Mr. Dharsono, for that. So I think I really want to give you a space and give you please share your experience in how do you create a successful carbon project. So please share your stories. What are the tips and tricks for first timer to who are interested, and how can you create a high quality carbon project?
Thank you, Alia. I think for some of you who are, who don't know my company and myself, I think almost 17 years ago, my business partner started this endeavor. We are looking at, how we can help mitigate climate change, and there's an opportunity for us to actually protect forests, working with community, provide sustainable livelihood, and make money by selling carbon credit. Of course, the challenge has been great the past 17 years, and now we are the world's largest project, the Katingan Mataya project sold in the voluntary carbon market. I think, looking back, if you ask me how I did it, because I strongly believe that it starts from two things. It starts from a dream and it starts from my intention. I think it was very clear to us at that time, me and Rezal, as problem with our climate change issue. Purpose, impact, and finally profitable business. So that challenge itself now, of course, now people looking back after 17 years, we finally become the world largest, we'll be able to sell this. I think it's proof to a lot of project developers that it's possible. Of course, throughout that process, it takes a long time. I want to share that I was the only employee of my company for 6 years. So I'm like a startup, and then took us another 4 years to get our first revenue. But I think one thing for sure that I'm so clear today that I want to actually emphasize for people here today is we need to protect nature. And unfortunately, we still don't know how to value these assets, right? So if you're technically a long-term investor, you believe that the way we are doing this thing are destructing nature, and we still don't know how to value nature, then technically what I'm saying is we still undervalue this nature tremendously. So as a long-term investor, if you invest in nature on a long term, of course, it's easy to say long term, right? But that means that you're gonna create a value, right? You're investing today that you believe that it's uh, undervalued. Because the reason why I say it's undervalued is because people are pricing nature-based solution based on the threat of what it is today. So for some of you who are not familiar with carbon credit, particular nature-based solution on the activities of protecting nature, you can only get carbon credit if you can prove that the area is under threat. If technically an area has no threat, then there's no value because nobody's willing to pay you because they perceive that you're not doing anything. But what I'm trying to say is that nature is beyond just about threat, right? Nature provides a lot of benefit that we don't know how to price. So instead of pricing threat, we should be looking into pricing benefit. But unfortunately, I think today, I mean, even after 17 years, we still see a lot of people struggle in this. And I hope that, by us seeing this benefit of protecting nature, working with project in the ground and see the benefit of what project developer can do, the mindset of the market can see this as like, we need to value the benefit. We should not value the threat. So I think that's, I feel that has changed my perception of this market since I started. Because of course, I believe that at that time, it's just about how we can prove that we can protect this asset. But more and more lately, I feel that I need to promote the benefit of protecting nature. So I think that's a big difference that I see. And unfortunately, the market, like everything else, like I mentioned, because they don't know how to price this, it's so easy to be attacked, right? Some of you are familiar, voluntary carbon market are are considered to be something that is not real for some people, right? They say that it's a greenwashing. There's a lot of politics behind carbon market today, especially in the voluntary carbon market, because it boils down to two things. One, we don't understand how to price it. Two, because the market is so early and still in infancy, it's so easy to be attacked. So when you read articles that some of the project are inflating their baseline. Just like any other project or product in the world, there are great product, good product, and worse product, right? But when you start reading the article that you see, there's some project developers that are not doing a good job, and then suddenly the media frame that the whole industry is failing. So I think this is very important for us to know. The fact is the inaction of today is going to create more problems. I think we're still arguing about this particular product, but we don't see the essence of the big picture. The more we are delaying what we do, actually the worse is going to be for our next generation. So I just for this, I want to summarize that you have to believe in this investment. If you want to be in this space, you have to believe in this investment. I think with the fact that it has such a great impact and purpose, I can guarantee you that you will create value. Of course, not everybody have the same risk appetite, right? But if you're a long-term investor looking for a horizon of 10 to 15 years kind of return, I can guarantee you that after 15 years, you will see that this is probably one of the best investment that you can do. Not only that it's making the company profitable, but making our next generation, to realize that we have done the right thing.
Yeah, so maybe to summarize it, it's more on the mindset. I think that is your biggest step and what you want to get away. Really like your goal of saying, instead of pricing threat, we should value the benefit. I think that's a really good mindset that I hope everyone can pull and everyone can keep that in mind when developing a carbon project. A successful, high quality carbon project does take time, ladies and gentlemen. So moving on, I think I know that you personally have already shared that there's a lot of struggles during your time because now the market and previously is really different, and how you approach RMU and Katingan Pattaya project is very different on how someone can approach it now. So maybe the question would be, what kind of tool you wish you had during that time that you would say would accelerate or would make your process even easier and faster?
I think when I started this 17 years ago, there's no company are doing this. Of course, we are one of the most, advanced at that time. But the good news is now because people realize the benefit of carbon credit, the ecosystem start building. I mean, there are company like Fairatmos, and I wish that I can deal with 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it can help me advancing and looking at the project, analyzing the numbers. But I think I'm very optimistic now. The ecosystem is being built now, right? I think the fact is when you're looking at the project become profitable, you also have, technology company willing to help. Just to give you an idea of how we struggle. In the early years for us to identify how much stock of carbon we have, technology is not available, satellite was there. It took us literally almost a year and a half to really just calculate. Whereas now you can use a lot of technology based and the AI. The reason why we took us so long is because we are the forest that we are trying to protect are a very specific forest, which is called peatland, where it store a lot of carbon below ground. So the technology of the satellite then will not be able to identify how deep the peat or how deep this carbon storage in the area. So we have to do a lot of sampling. So I think for area 157,000 hectares, for some of you are not familiar how big it is, it's 2 times the size of island of Singapore. We have to do up to 600 points to be able to identify the carbon stock. And then those 600 points are gonna take us at least 2 years to get that. But now with the whole technology, we can use interpolation, you can use AI. There's so much things that you can do. So that you can actually, I have to say, not shortcut, but you actually can make this process more efficient. So with technology today, with the whole ecosystem, I think people see that we can actually do this more efficient. But the most important thing that I also want to emphasize to people, when you deal with community, because when to do a successful nature-based solution project, you need to have a buying in from the communities. You have to work with them, and those cannot be shortcut. That's one thing that, I mean, you might be able to shortcut a lot of the technology side, the due diligence side, but come to the fact where you have to deal with community, you have to put a lot of time. Because the idea is the idea is to have them buying in the project. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort to change behavior. So I'll share with you that we try to promote a no burning, no chemical farming in our area. And then when I introduce it to somebody, to 500 farmers at one go, only 2 farmers are interested, only 2 out of 500. So it took us finally 3 harvest period to get the farmers convinced to start this program. So I think, there are things you can be efficient, you can be faster, maybe on a more of a due diligence part, but talking about the implementation, then it has to be really depends on how the community is taking it. So that's how I see things.
Okay, thank you very much. So to summarize it, first, I think using technology with companies such as Fairatmos, what we are trying to do here can make the process or speed up the process more efficient, especially in the sampling area and using satellite and GIS and other technologies and AI for that. But I think you also emphasize that community work, talking to people who actually live there, building the community there, making them understand and trying to work together with them cannot be shortcutted. So those are the things that we should invest in, the time that we should invest in if we are a project developer. So thank you so much, Mr. Dharsono. I think we have one more question before we wrap this sessions up. So now the question is that how does AACM plan to effectively unlock the supply in carbon credits as one of its key pillars? I think, yeah.
So I think one way to, of course, this just like the market, even AACM is still in infancy. So I think we really need to have people to contribute this. An alliance can be successful only if the members are part of it as well as contributing. So we welcome any input as a members. I think the idea is we want to gather this to have basically common knowledge as well as common framework, right? I think it has to be the mindsets first. I think when people come to me and say that what was in your mind when you started this 17 years ago? But I think it was quite clear because it was a dream and a pure intention. Money and profit is always last. So I think we have to find that people, because if you're really looking at the profit at this level, because the market is so uncertain, it's going to be very hard. But I think with this alliance, we can actually share our knowledge and then get all these things working together. For people who are still in the fence of trying to invest, not really clear, I think the alliance is going to give a lot of support as well.
Okay, so I think to also emphasize that everyone here who are interested to join AACM may I think our operator can also share a link in the comment section so that everyone can click it and try to join AACM. So thank you so much, Mr. Dharsono. I think that was a very insightful session. We're really glad to have you here. And also a reminder for the audience that if you have questions for Mr. Dharsono, please write them in the comment section. By the end of the panel, we will have open session for the audience, so you guys can interact with all of our panelists. So thank you, Mr. Dharsono. Thank you. Yes, our next speaker is the chairman of Citigroup, who brings wealth of expertise and consolidates into his role with a bachelor's degree in foreign trade and economics, University of HCMC, and extensive postgraduate studies. His contributions to business and society have been recognized through prestigious awards, including the National Labor Medal by the President of Vietnam. So allow me to introduce Mr. Tran Chung, Chairman of Citigroup Vietnam, who will outline the pivotal role of private entities in advancing NbS and carbon offset project within Vietnam. So to Mr. Chung, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. So Excellencies, Ambassador Denny, Abdhi, Excellencies, Mr. Dharsono Hartono, the Chairman of ASEAN Alliance Carbon Market, and my dear friends, Ms. Natalia Ria Lucky, the chair lady of the Fairatmos Corporation. So today I'm have the honors to present about our Vietnam carbon offsetting market. and the nature-based solution. As you may know, Citigroup is the one of the major group in Vietnam focusing on the carbon credit market, and we are the first company established the CCTPA is the first carbon credit company in Vietnam, and now we are operating 12 programs for the carbon offsetting project, and many of them is have a very high contribution for the society. We would like to present about the importance of nature-based solution and carbon offsetting project in Vietnam. So the first is NbS are the solution used in natural restore ecosystem, address environment and social challenge in Vietnam. NbS bring the benefits as a minimize the impact of climate change, promote economic development, reduce poverty, and promote the equality. So Vietnam is the country with a rich potential for NbS development. Some example of the NbS being deployed in Vietnam, including planting forest protection, ecosystem restoration, sustainable agriculture, and many others. But Vietnam is facing many environmental problems such as climate change, environment pollution, land degradation, etc. Implementing carbon offset project can prevent natural disaster and contribute the diversity biologies. So Vietnam has committed to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by 45% by 2030 and net zero emission by 2050. So carbon offset project play an important role in implementing this commitment. So we also attended the COP26 in England, and then COP28 in Dubai, and after that we also attended the World Economic Forum in Davos a few months ago, together with the Prime Minister of Vietnam. So Vietnamese government have very strong commitment for the contribution of the global emission reduction. So also the carbon offset project can bring many economic and social benefit to Vietnam, like create more jobs for the local community, and can develop ecotourism and providing other product and service as a forest product, aquatic product, and agricultural product, and many others. But in Vietnam, the carbon credit projects are in the developing stage, mainly in forestry and agricultural product. And as the very big rice exporter, Vietnam is contributing 15% of the rice, 15% of the rice quantity to the global market. And also Vietnam is the country have a lot of rice farm, which creates a lot of the CH4, which also the problem for the climate change. So the opportunity and challenge, the opportunities demand for the carbon offsetting increasing, demand for carbon offsets for domestic and foreign business organization is increasing. Like we have a lot of demand from many big companies. As also Vietnam is one of the big exporter. So the demands of from the exporting companies is huge. And incentive policy, Vietnam government is promoting and developing the carbon market, creating a favorable environment for implementing carbon offset project. The development potential, Vietnam also have a lot of potential for develop carbon offset project due to large forest areas, abundant renewable energy sources, and local community concerns of the environmental protection. So, however, the implementation of the NbS and carbon project in Vietnam is facing some challenge like legal framework and implementation mechanism need to be improved. And also capacity building of stakeholder and strengthen propaganda, education, community awareness rising. Also, the capital resources. The private entity have abundant capital resources to invest in NbS project and carbon offset. So investing is this project benefit of the environment and the community can also bring profits to the businesses. So expertise, private entity have the expertise and experience in implementing large and complex projects. So the participation of private entity will have to ensure that NbS and carbon offset project as implemented effectively and achieve their goal. So technologies, private entity can apply advanced technology in implementing NbS and carbon project offset. So the application of technology will have improved the efficiency and transparency projects. Awareness rising, so private entity can participate the propaganda, education, public awareness activity on the NbS and carbon offset. So raising the awareness will have to encourage the community participation in the project. International cooperation, so private entity can cooperate with international organizations to implement NbS and carbon offset project. So international cooperation will have to share experience, capital, and advanced technologies. And so for the legal framework, so in Vietnam, actually we still lack out the new legal framework for carbon credit. So now some legal framework like the Law of Environmental Protection 2020 and the Law of Forestry 2017 and the Law of the Biodiversity 2008. And so, but this legal still have not very detailed for carbon credit. And Environmental Protection Law 2020 and Decrees 146 2020 on carbon offsets. So then now the Vietnamese government they are discussing on national strategy on climate change until 2050. So the National Action Plan for Climate Change for the period 2021 to 2030. So this plan set out the specific program and activity to implement the national climate change strategy, including the development and use NbS. So the plan also identified the financial and human resources needed to implement this program and activities. So the Law of Environmental Protection Law 2020. So the regulation on environment protection, including the reduction greenhouse gas emission, and the Law of Forestry 2017 regulation on forest management, protection, and development, including the regulation of a forest forestation project to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Also, other decrees relating the environment and carbon market as below. So if you need any kind of the legal advice, we are willing to share. And currently, is no official definition of the NbS and carbon offset project in Vietnam, Laos. That's the most challenging point. So completing the legal framework on NbS and carbon offset project. So the development detailed guidance document to implement the legal regulation. Develop a system to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the NbS project and carbon offset project. And also building a financial mechanism to support NbS project and carbon offset project. And raising public awareness about NbS and carbon offset projects. So the role of the private entity. So we, City Group, have a very strong commitment to sustainability and its effort to advance NbS and carbon offsetting initiative, and emphasize the key role of the private entity like City Group in promoting innovation and investment in this sector. So also City Group now is that we are organizing the training program for carbon credit for the 63 provinces in Vietnam to help them to understand more about the carbon credits and how to make how to produce carbon credits. So also city is committed to sustainable development, environmental protection, and response to climate change. So this commitment is demonstrated through the following activities. So we have a 12 program for the carbon for the climate change. Like we developed the green construction system with like the city module is the very low emission greens. We promote to build the electric train from Ho Chi Minh City to Mekong Delta, which can reduce megaton of carbon, and also it can replace many truck and car on the street, on the road. Can create 100,000 jobs, and also can reduce a lot of accidents also. And also we encourage the gene and cell technology, which can create the faster growth of the tree, which can contribute the reduction of carbon in the market. And also we are developing the new energy resources like hydrogen. And also we develop the AI technology to optimize the logistics, which can reduce a lot of the carbon also. and also development and investment of the waste management for the green technology for waste management, and also many other programs to encourage and train the provinces to how to develop the carbon program. And also we develop a smart city with low emission new urban. So that is many program which is developed by Citigroup. And also international initiative. Also, we continue many international activity, and also continuously participating COP26, COP28. So always show we always show our determination and efforts to strengthen the cooperative connection with the many other partners. And also we have a lot of national prize for this activity, and we have many sponsorships to the 10 university in Vietnam for the innovation activity for climate change. Also, Citigroup also invented many new products with like City Module X is affordable housing program for the construction, and also this non-concrete the housing program, which can export to many countries globally. And also we have been building the resource with low emission technology. So the private entity like us is in promoting innovation and in investment in this sector. Also, like the electric railway, 170 kilometers from Ho Chi Minh City to Cần Thơ is it's a very big project, one of the national big project developed by Citigroup, and can reduce a lot of carbon and environmental pollution. Also, Citigroup regularly organize many seminar, conference, communication activity to raise awareness about climate change and sustainable development. Also, now we are digitalize the process to make the carbon credit, which can help the many smaller company can easily to make the carbon credit. And also many other international collaboration, like we collaborate with Fairatmos. It's we hope two of us can together we can encourage and promote many green activity in Vietnam, and also we can introduce the platform of Fairatmos to Vietnam market. Also for the transportation, also we developed the UAV for logistics, for transportation, and this year we developed the UAV, which is the electric. Actually, it's a green transportation. So the legal framework, in Vietnam also is the issue, but we actively working with the government to contribute the idea for the government and parliament also to have the strategy and the decrease on the carbon credits. So the new decrease for the carbon credit, like the decrease number 6, 2022, is the regulation for pilot carbon market development, and also some special decree for Ho Chi Minh City who can do the pilot project for carbon credit. And we also provide insight into the legal framework surrounding carbon project in supply and demand side in Vietnam, like the circular number 6, 2022, circular number 24, 2018, and circular number 2, 2023. It's for the circular regulation, the mechanism and process of implementing GHG emission and carbon credit transaction in 2023 to 2028. And also the decision, some decision for the national strategy on climate change also. So the legal framework in Vietnam which is will be completed very soon, and also it's the good condition for the foreign partner to join the market. So until now, the market the market of carbon market in Vietnam still young and quite low liquidity and lack of information. So we are making very huge efforts to have the others company and other organization to improve the market situation. So hope we are open to collaborate with all the partner to develop this carbon market. And thank you very much for Fairatmos who allow us to have the presentation today. And we wish all of us we can have the very good achievement in this new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chung, for the presentation. So I saw that in the comment section, there's already a lot of questions that we were going to summarize, and we're going to ask to 3 of our panelists in the open Q&A session. So, and then someone's asked whether we will share the materials. The materials will be shared. And also, it would be available on Fairatmos' YouTube channel. The recording of this meeting will be available on our YouTube channel. So let's move on to our third and last panel. Our next speaker is the founder and chief executive officer of Fairatmos. As a seasoned entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in strategic management and impact investing, driven by her passion to combat global climate change, she started Fairatmos in 2022, a new generation of technology-driven, high-integrity carbon project developer. With her robust background, including 10 years experience in Boston Consulting Group as a project leader in Southeast Asia in BCG, and past record work together with partners such as WWF, she will bring extensive expertise in sustainability, smallholder communities management, and technology, particularly in remote sensing and analytics. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Mrs. Natalia Rialuki, founder and CEO of Fairatmos, who will outline the pivotal role, who will outline the technological advancement supporting carbon offset project and nature-based solution. So Ms. Natalia, your time is yours.
Thank you very much, Alia. First of all, I would like to give a warm welcome as well to Ambassador for Indonesia for Vietnam, as well as Mr. Dharsono, the chairperson for AACM, as well as Mr. Chung, who is the chairman of the City Group, and also to all audience here. If we can also project the presentation. My name is Ria. I am the CEO of Fairatmos, and we are a climate technology company building high-quality nature-based solutions projects across Southeast Asia. And in the talk today, given the breadth of our audience that may or may not have previous exposure in the carbon market, I would like to just start to give 1 or 2 introduction about the carbon market. With the rising global temperatures, countries globally have already signed the Paris Agreement, in which cumulatively we need to cap the global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And it could be achieved by reducing global emissions by at least 43% based on the 2019 baseline by 2030. The Paris Agreement has not been the first of the global treaties that is encouraging all commitment from all countries, as well as the private parties as well. Previously, Kyoto Protocol and other international treaties had preceded it from the previous decade. If you are familiar with the Clean Development Mechanism, or CDM, it was one of the framework on pursuing low emission development under the Kyoto Protocol regime, and the Paris Agreement had been the latest. If you go to the next slide, to achieve the Paris Agreement, each country pledged their own emission reductions goal. Among it is Vietnam, who had just renewed their commitment in 2022 to reduce its GHG emission by 15.8% and 43.5% with conditional support by 2030 compared to the 2014 baseline. If you go to the next slide, the private sector had also been a critical player to take action. So it's not just the government, but also the private companies. And there are many ways for private companies to also participate. We can see that there are actually many ways to contribute. Companies or countries can avoid carbon intensive activities. They can reduce or lower the intensity of the combustions or emissions that cannot be completely avoided, or they can also replace. And the last option, which is typically for the non-abatable emissions, is actually to option for offset. It is preferred when other methods have been generally seen as the non-abatable. Now, if we go to the next slide, so what does carbon offset mean, right? It means the activity to neutralize unavoidable carbon footprint by supporting environmental projects outside of your operations. I will dig more on the environmental projects later, that there could be many types, but what is important for us to understand is that carbon credit is known as the unit to offset 1 carbon ton of emission, and the value of carbon credit can actually vary depending on the market, as well as depending on the type of activities that we do to produce that. If we go to the next slide, carbon offsets can be generated from multiple sectors. as long as there is additionality and permanence. So I think Vietnam is also very much known for the production of the carbon credit from renewable energy production, because the delta of the emission between renewable energy sources and non-renewable energy sources creates additionality in the carbon capture. There's also carbon credit from waste or plastics management. There are also from forestry and other land use, and others such as energy efficiency, electric vehicle, transportation, and other. Today's talk, we focus only on the forestry and other land use or FOLU. If we go to the next slide, so Fairatmos did a report with BCG earlier last year, where we also basically tried to amplify the impact of the nature-based solutions or the forest-based carbon project in Southeast Asia, in which, even though we only have 1% of the world's total area, but Southeast Asia has potential to generate 30% of global carbon offset supply by 2030. And if you can see, we also have calculated for those carbon offsets that will be price competitive or could be produced with less than $10 per ton. Basically, Vietnam would also be able to produce up to 10 million tons over the next couple of years until 2030. You can scan our barcode here, and we will also share the link later for you to access the full report. Now, if we double click about NbS, right, about nature-based solutions from forestry, you can see on the left-hand side, we have shown that why Southeast Asia could generate so much potential is because of two main ecosystems: forest ecosystem and wetlands ecosystems. So under the wetlands, there is peat management, there is mangrove as well, basically area that has a greater capability to absorb more carbon per hectare basis, right? And then those two are the biggest ecosystem that could generate almost 80% of the carbon credits from the NbS or the FOLU sector. Now, if you go to the right-hand side, what are the types of activity that could provide carbon credit? It could be avoiding forest conversion, peatland conversion, coastland conversion, but it could also be restoring, such as the peat restoring, forest management. But also, I think one topic that has been always rising in the discussion with our counterparts in Vietnam and other Southeast Asia region is also on improved rice cultivation or agricultural practice to reduce the methane release. So as you can see that not only that the land potential is already abundant, so the carbon stock potential is abundant, but also given that the economy of ASEAN is still more or less more than 10% generated by agriculture and extractive activities, it means that there are different ways that we can improve the way we manage our agriculture activities to reduce emission as well. Now, if we go to the next slide, particularly for Fairatmos, right, for Vietnam, right? So Vietnam has already extensive experience in carbon credit. It is the country in Southeast Asia, especially, that is the largest carbon credit generator under the CDM mechanism. So the Kyoto Protocol, as I mentioned, the previous regime prior to Paris Agreement, 255 projects alone comes under the Vietnam, and majority of those projects is under the energy sectors as well as the waste sector. So you can see the others are from other separate sectors. However, in 2023, we followed the news update that basically Vietnam has already successfully sold 10.3 million forest-based carbon credits in the program with the World Bank. That is basically also a showcase how the forestry sector can also contribute through different types of activity and different types of market in Vietnam. If we go to the next slide, so basically we saw that we realized there is a lot of potential in Southeast Asia. And I think just to name a few that you can see on the slide here, are the different carbon credit projects that is under the voluntary market that is based in Southeast Asia. And the most unknown of all, I think you have already, hopefully you have already heard from Mr. Dharsono, is also the Katingan Mentaya project that is based in Indonesia. Now, the question is, how can we also further unlock this impact of carbon projects to community with social and biodiversity impact, as well as contributing to the reduction of the emission globally, right? So that is basically the role and the mission of Fairatmos. If you can go to the next slide. Basically, at Fairatmos, we want to work with project developers, asset owners, governments to leverage technology to help develop high integrity carbon projects. And that's why we have already established 4 types of technology to do so. The first technology is called the AtmosTalk, in which we are working together with the city group to further extend our reach to our partners across Vietnam. Basically, we help to reduce the time taken to assess the potential carbon credits and assess the right methodology for carbon crediting mechanism using remote sensing so that we can actually know whether a particular project is eligible and how much is the value. We basically try to reduce the time using the remote sensing technology, but we also understood the honest or the burden to prove also additionality and permanence. That's why by referring to all the global standards out there, we also try to embed the additionality score of each project inside the AtmosTalk. The second product that we have is that we also have the monitoring and reporting tools that is called the Atmos Watch, currently being used by over than 7 projects across Southeast Asia. Basically, this is a tool to monitor a project performance in terms of carbon stock, community impact, as well as biodiversity. We basically leverage both short range and long range remote sensing images in order to simplify or reduce the cost to do on the ground work. But as Pak Dharsono also mentioned, we cannot replace the community as well as the attachment that we need to build with the community. So we also develop an app for the field officers to basically gather a lot of information with the community and the biodiversity also in the region as well. And the third support that we also provide is on our development capability. At the moment, the tools that we have already have is being leveraged to build 3 projects across Southeast Asia. One in Moratewe, number 2 is in Laos, and the number 3 is blue carbon in Central Java. So basically, these 3 projects we want to make as a showcase how technology will also be viable to create a high integrity carbon projects, and we welcome friends and partners to further continue to collaborate and develop projects with us. And last but not least we would like to also showcase the projects that we are supporting to connect them for buyers as well as investors. We are here to partner with more and more people to extend this opportunity as also what was spoken on the first session regarding opening investment for long-term value in nature. I guess to just summarize, at Fairatmos, we have already processed over 14 million hectares of land potential regarding their carbon credits potential, be it mangrove, peatland, lowland forest across Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Laos, Philippines, as well as other regions such as Africa and Nigeria. And we have assessed over than 168 projects so far. It makes us be able to further refine our technology to understand the different types of commodities as well as different types of carbon credits in each region as well. In Vietnam alone, we also have a very strong partnership with Citigroup at COP28, where we signed an MOU to basically explore and collaborate to further advance technology in the carbon market and develop carbon projects as well in Vietnam. Also, we are honored to be invited for the Indonesia-Vietnam high-level business dialogue together with the Vietnamese Prime Minister as well as the Indonesian President. And last but not least, we were also invited to speak on the seminars to developing carbon market together with the Ministry of Resources and Energy as well as Agriculture in Vietnam. Our intention is really to endorse the growth of high quality carbon projects based on nature in Southeast Asia. So we would love to also welcome other partners to collaborate in this endeavor. I think that's it from my side. Alia, thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. And I give the floor back to Alia.
Yes, thank you so much, Ria, for the wonderful presentation. So let's now segue to the open Q&A sessions. So we already have a few questions here from the audience. So I would like to invite all the panelists to the floor here. I think Mrs. Ria is, yes, she's joining with Mr. Dharsono. So there are a few questions. First one being, I think it's a compilation of two questions, is that can you please share more about the project in Vietnam? And where are the project being developed? What are stage are there in the development stage? And are these carbon project developed under for the VCM or the upcoming Vietnam ETS? So maybe Mr. Chung can answer this question first.
Yes. So far, yes, many projects with the direct managed by Citigroup and CCTPA. Also, we are also the consultant for other company who have the carbon credit project also. So we also invite you to join the market with the demand is quite high now. So Vietnam government also very open to welcome the foreign company to do the green project and in Vietnam.
Yeah, thank you so much. Does Mrs. Natalia want to add to that question?
Yeah, I think we are following up with the progress. The latest information was the World Bank project together on the forest project on the performance-based mechanism on the carbon emission reduction. And right now, I guess we are waiting for the updates regarding the voluntary market as well for the Vietnam as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully that answers the questions. We have a few more questions actually sent through the direct messages toward me. So first one being, how can AACM help facilitate the initiation of and success of carbon offset project in Vietnam from a private sector perspective? Maybe Mr. Dharsono or yeah, can answer the questions first.
So I think, as you know, that Vietnam has been quite active in the carbon market, right, in the past during the CDM era. So I think, you know, of course, with AACM, we are not going to be exclusively talking about nature-based because nature-based is a new type of product. It's not popular. It's not even one in CDM world. So the idea is, so if the Vietnam, any members in Vietnam that are interested to work in the carbon market in general will please join our alliance, because I think the alliance idea is we are scaling voluntary carbon market, but not exclusively for NbS. So there's a lot of other projects, renewable energy and others that we should be able to work together and to create a knowledge as well as framework because I see in the next few years, there will be more regional market base, right? I think it's important for ASEAN to be in front of this and start creating our own framework. I'm not saying that we have to have a new standard, but at least a common framework that everybody agreed what is considered to be high quality, high integrity project, for example. And then as we slowly talk to the government with the green taxonomy in the region, then things will be much easier as we move. So I think that's sort of like everything have to start with the first step. I think with AACM, we are starting the first step. And hopefully, you know, with your contribution, your participation, this alliance becomes something that is important for the region.
Yes. Does Mr. Chung have anything to add to that question? Okay, no, all good. Okay, another question for on my direct messages. To Natalia, please share more on the role of technology in developing NbS and how can technology leverage the development of high integrity carbon project?
Yeah, thanks, Aya. I think there are two big roles for technology in the carbon market, especially in nature-based solutions. But I think I second also Pak Dharsono's point regarding it could be beyond nature-based solution. Number one is definitely to scale up. Which is that was previously in Vietnam, 255 projects signed, or like in Indonesia or Southeast Asia, for example, around 10 projects that is being approved and certified under the voluntary carbon market. How do we scale it to 1,000, 2,000, right? So basically, being able to automate a lot of the process that can be done right now, given the technology advancement, using remote sensing technology, internet, IoT-based technology to reduce the operational costs but still maintain the integrity is something that technology can bring now that was not available back then, right? But the second one is actually, I think, and there has been a big discussion regarding integrity. I guess given a very strong data-driven and ability for technology to capture data on the ground in a neutral way should be able to also provide integrity back and really strengthen the position on how each carbon projects deliver the impact both to climate, community, and biodiversity. So I guess it's still a very new area. But hopefully by this data sets that is neutral and really, directly from the source, it could hopefully also answer Pak Dharsono's first point on the first session regarding the pricing, right? Regarding the value. So by having more robust data on this project, we really know the impact of it, so then we can value better. So that's really the hopefully the intention moving forward. But I think we're just getting started, Alia.
Yes, thank you so much. Maybe last question due to our time limit. Someone's again send it in my direct messages. Can Fairatmos estimate carbon store in wetlands and other forest usage using the response sensing technology described? What are the level of accuracy and accountability in the result of the data?
Yeah, so as I think I also second Pak Dharsono's point that definitely peatland and a specific area that has a lot of below ground and soil carbon, it definitely require more than just remote sensing technology. But for forest, mineral forest, as well as bare land and basically lowlands, basically Fairatmos using remote sensing technology can able to assess the potential of the above ground biomass that will result in the carbon stock. And sorry, I missed your second point.
Yes, the second point is how accurate is Fairatmos technology is.
Yeah. So we are right now already achieving 90% of accuracy in terms of land cover analysis and 80% of accuracy in terms of above ground biomass compared, when we take the remote sensing assessment, as well as when we compare it to the ground from the project that we piloted prior, that I've already shared prior. I guess right now more technology is advancing, and we are also at the forefront of really assessing those technology and performance as well. So we also are very welcoming for working with all the audience here to find and innovate new technologies as well.
Yes, thank you. I think, is there room for one more question? Sasa, okay. There one more question is, the last question is that, are there any successful carbon project in agricultural fields up to now, selling carbon credits in points? And what are available MRV system that can be adopted confidently?
Maybe I can take it and feel free to add later. So for the agricultural practices, right now, I think some standards are still reviewing to finalize the methodology, particularly on the rice potential, which is the intention is to reduce the methane released by rice farming in Southeast Asia that release a lot of methane, right? Because of the all year long wetting of the farm to a little bit either, alternate wetting or drying or drip or using seeds that requires less water. So those kind of discussion, I think some methodologies are already in place, but most of the methodologies are still under discussion. And in terms of the different technologies, so there are different, tools in order to do that. that, maybe less of remote sensing based, but more of an IoT that would be able to track the level of methane that is released in the area, as well as the level of water level that is soaked within the agriculture area. But beyond rice, I think there are also agroforestry methodologies. I think Plant Vivo and other standards are way ahead in those methodologies. Less of the practice of measuring the emission release on the practice of farming, but by combining or intercropping or combining different types of crops that has wider tree cover and less of monoculture plants that can make sure that the health of the soil is still maintained. It's some methodologies in the agroforestry also acknowledge that, and some standards also actually have already certified some projects.
Maybe if I want to add, the whole premises of why we think that agriculture can be a contributor of a project is because the way we farm today is so inefficient, right? There are a lot of emission that happen in today's farming method. So the idea is when you can propose a new farming method that you actually improve the soil, you capture more carbon, then as a theory of what carbon credit and carbon offset is, then they can be qualified as a project as well. Of course, this is a new evolving space, but I think, country like Vietnam has a tremendous potential in the agriculture space, right? With Ria mentioned about rice, there's a lot of soil carbon, we call it the soil carbon argument here. So I think this is also a new space that we're looking forward to work with basically people in the region as part of our alliance moving forward as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Ria and Mr. Dharsono, for the answer. So unfortunately, due to the time spent, we are unable to answer all of the questions here, but don't worry, we are going to compile a document where Fairatmos will share all of the questions here that will be answered, and we will share it to your email. So I think that's all. Thank you everyone for the overwhelming response. Thank you everyone for joining the webinar, and thank you everyone also for very responsive and very excited in the Q&A session. I'm giving the session back to Sasa.
Thank you. Okay, as we wrap up these insightful discussions, I want to thank our panelists to their valuable presentations, sharing important insight on nature-based solutions for carbon offset projects in Vietnam. Also, a big round of appreciation to Ms. Alia for moderating this session so well. Okay, before we proceed further, I would like to invite each of you to share our valuable feedbacks with us. We truly value your insight and thoughts. Kindly take a moment to, maybe the operator can show the barcode for the feedback form. Kindly take a moment to scan the barcode displayed on your screen or click the link provided on the chat box to access our feedback form. And also, we'll be offering exclusive Fairatmos merchandise to 3 lucky winners who have submitted their feedback forms. So please fill out the feedback forms. Okay. One more thing of this, as we are about to embark our memorable moment together, I kindly request your participations in our interactive sessions to capture this experience. So I invite you to open your cameras and join us for collective photo session. Okay. Yes. Okay, our co-operator can help us to capture the moment. I count to 3, everybody smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Before we conclude today's sessions, I would like to inform you that this webinar has been recorded and will be made available on Fairatmos YouTube channel. As we draw these insightful sessions to a close, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists for their invaluable contributions and profound insights shared today. Your expertise and dedication to enrich our discussions on nature-based solutions, carbon offset projects in Vietnam, and potentially reaching global horizons. Also extends sincere appreciation for our esteemed audience for your participation and engagement throughout this webinar. As we conclude, let us carry forward the learnings and discussions from today's sessions, leveraging them to drive meaningful actions and positive change in our collective journey towards a more sustainable future. To stay updated with future webinars, announcements, and exclusive contents, I encourage you to follow Fairatmos and ASEAN Alliance on Carbon Market social media platform. By staying connected, you'll have access to latest updates, upcoming events, and more. Thank you once again for joining us today. Wishing you continue your success in your endeavors, and I look forward our paths crossing again in future discussions. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Goodbye.